Irana, and welcome to My World to Travel. I'm Christina, Tahiti Tiari Specialist. I'm so excited to share with you the islands of Tahiti, our culinary culture series. Let's get started with our good friend Heimata from Moorea Food Adventures. Today, we're on the Tahitian island of Moorea with our good friend, chef, and travel extraordinaire, Heimata of Moorea Food Adventures. Irana, how are you, Heimata?
I'm great. I'm great. It's great to be here with you guys.
We are so excited to have you here. We're so lucky and also grateful to have Heimata here. You're going to show us the Tahitian national dish of Poisson Cru, show us a little bit of a taste of Moorea through local cuisine. So let's get started.
The Poisson Cru, our national dish, and I have all the wonderful ingredients here. And it's such a simple dish, but yet with so much great flavors. And the best part about it, it's all natural flavors. There's no butter, there's no cream or any of that. It's really just natural flavors. And especially here in Tahiti, we have so many different fruits, some really good vegetables as well. And Poisson Cru is about fresh fish and also the local veggies. And we'll show you some of that. So to make a Poisson Cru, we need some fresh fish. So normally, a lot of times you'll find it with tuna. Personally, today I'm using marlin. So you can use marlin or any kind of white fish or red tuna. The only reason why I'm using marlin today because my friend gave me some yesterday. So I might as well use fresh fish that he caught. One of the local fishermen here, Jimmy. So I got some fresh marlin. You'll need a carrot, tomato, onion. I'm gonna use a red onion today, but usually a lot of people use the white onion or yellow onion. I like to use red onion. It's a little bit sweeter, and it also gives them some color, really nice color. I got a little piece of ginger. We got cucumber, and then also we got some lime. So these limes, I just picked them right here in my from my tree. Some fresh lime. You could also use lemon. I know sometimes it can be a challenge to find some lime, so lemons will be fine as well. And I also have some grapefruit, as you can see here. So our grapefruit is a little bit different. It's much sweeter. Really nice flavor. It's not in the regular recipe, traditional recipe of the Poisson Cru, but personally, that's my own touch. I like to just kind of change it up a little bit, make it interesting, add some new flavors. And then the most important ingredient that I forgot, coconut milk. Okay, so here in Tahiti, you can buy fresh coconut milk. That's really the key to this dish. Most of the time we make our own coconut milk, but for today, I'm gonna use one that's been pressed already by my friend Vetea. He sells these little bottles here on Moorea, makes it very easy, and it saves you a lot of time as well. All right, so let's get started. So first, you'll need a nice sharp knife. So I'm gonna use this, or you can use a chef knife, really depends. And we'll have our bowl here. So I'm gonna start with the fish. Okay, we'll cut the fish first. So here I'm just gonna cut them in some nice. What we want is some nice cubes. Okay. Here we go. We got 3 beautiful slices here. I mean, like, so I know in the probably in your area, if you can't find tuna, or sometimes tuna can be a little pricey, right? If you buy by the pound. So you could use marlin. Marlin is it's a pretty inexpensive fish to buy. Not too many people like to use it. For some reason, we think it's a lesser quality fish, but here in Tahiti, we absolutely love it, especially to eat raw. Striped marlin's even better. It's got that interesting fatty flavor to it. It's really nice. You could use cod. You could probably use halibut as well. Halibut, I think, would be really nice for Poisson Cru. And then whatever other local fish you would have in your area. I think that's the key to making Poisson Cru. It's really using what you have in your area. Poisson Cru as well is a lot of times locals here, we won't use tuna or marlin. We'll use a lagoon fish, such as parrot fish. We'll use ature, it's like a Spanish mackerel. Traditionally, that's what a real Poisson Cru was. It's really using just reef fish, lagoon fish. And then over the years, through the French influence of cooking, that's how we ended up using tuna. And then tuna has become kind of like the the main fish that we'll use. But just remember, you don't have to use tuna. It's not a must. It's just something we become accustomed to. So you really tap into that creativity and the flavor profile. You know, that's what it kind of comes down to is how do you adapt the fish to the flavor that you're trying to create with this dish. You know, nice little cubes like this. Because if they're too big when you eat it, the fish flavor can be a little strong. Okay, so the next ingredient I'm gonna do is gonna be the ginger. So we got some nice ginger here. I'm gonna take my bowl, and the best way to peel ginger, I know sometimes it can be kind of difficult or challenging to do ginger. One of the best tricks I've learned is to use a little spoon like this, and instead of trying to use a little knife and get the skin off, you just grate it like that. Super, super easy. So one of the techniques I've learned by cooking from my chef when I used to work at the restaurant. And let me tell you, it saved me a lot of time. Super fast, efficient, looking great. And then I'm just gonna take the ginger. So you could cut it as well if you wish, but I feel like when you grate it like this, it really creates more like a paste. So it's a very subtle flavor that goes into the Poisson Cru. If you're not a ginger fan, it's okay. You don't have to put ginger. This is just my own personal touch that I like to put because it really brings it back to me to a Tahitian flavor. And we love using ginger. I think that's the Chinese influence that we have here. That's why I think we really love ginger in our cooking. So just keep grating. As you can see in the back, you see how it kind of creates that paste? That's what you want. So it kind of melts into the coconut milk when you put the coconut milk in there. And it really gives it this nice, subtle, soft flavor of in your Poisson Cru. It's like you're infusing the coconut milk with that. So now we're done with that. The next step, let's do the onions. So I'm going to do the onions. Like I said, I'm going to use a red onion. You can use a yellow onion. You can use shallots if you want. It's really up to you. So I'm just going to use a half an onion. So here we go. We're just going to cut this. So really thin slice, right? As you can see here. All right, so then I just like to kind of make it so they don't stick together. And then we'll add that to the Poisson Cru. Okay, and then the next step, we're gonna do the cucumber. I'm just gonna take a little piece like that. And then we'll peel it. You can leave the skin on if you want. Some people here a lot of times will leave the skin. I like to kind of just do where it kind of alternates. Like this, it gives it kind of fancy, you know, makes it look fancy, I guess. And then we'll cut that. Take the spoon. We want to take out the inside. Like that, you don't want the seeds. Seeds kind of make it challenging to eat. And then we're just gonna cut some nice slices. So you don't want the slices of cucumber too big. You want it to have a nice little crunch, but you don't want it to take over the dish. So that's why cutting it nice and thin, but yet still keeping that crunch. Okay. All right, so you just keep adding to the bowl. That's all you're doing. You just keep adding those flavors. Basically, you're creating layers of flavor. The more layers of flavor you have it, and then when we put that coconut milk on top at the end, it's just all gonna tie it together and it's gonna be really nice. Fresh. So here we have a tomato. I cut it in half. I'm just gonna slice it like this. And then you don't want the tomatoes to be too thick either. Nice little slices like this. Okay, and then we have the carrots. I'm just gonna use a little bit of it. I want to peel. All right, and then what we're gonna do, we're gonna grate this. So you can use this, the big one, or sometimes there's a smaller one as well. And then you just want to grate some of that in there. Look at that, it's looking so colorful, beautiful. I mean, just eating it with the eyes, it's already looking good. Okay, so I'm gonna take my half grapefruit here. I'm gonna cut that, and don't forget, okay? So the grapefruit, you really gotta be careful because some grapefruits, I know the ones in the U.S. a lot of times they're kind of that pink color, and they can be really acidic or sour. So you want to be careful with it. This one is very sweet. Tahitian grapefruit is, when you come to visit Tahiti, you gotta try one of these grapefruits. I mean, they're so good, very sweet, very delicious, and especially juicy. So I like to take the meat like this, and then you just kind of like break it up in pieces. And like I said, this is optional, okay? You don't have to have the grapefruits. I want to take the seeds out. You want to make sure you do that. And then we're just going to take the meats, and you see all the juices in there, dripping in there. That's just going to add to that flavor bomb that we're building right here into this Poisson Cru. And I'm looking forward to eating this. In there, look at that. Ah. And okay, now we're gonna use some lime. I'm gonna cut a couple limes here, at least 2, possibly 3. I'm gonna see, and then we're gonna have our coconut milk. All right, so I want to talk about this a little bit because I feel like this is really important when it comes to the lime juice. Okay, every time we hear about Poisson Cru or we talk about Poisson Cru, we're always saying we want to put the lime juice to cook the fish, which is true. It will cook the fish. Some people will put the lime and let the fish sit for like, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 minutes to give the acidity of the lime time to cook the fish. I think that's more of like a modern take on Poisson Cru. Here in Tahiti, at least with my family, my grandparents growing up, we like to put the lime, and then right after we'll put the coconut milk because we don't want the lime to cook the fish. The lime is really for that, to add acidity profile to the dish. But sometimes if you leave the lime too long on the fish, what happens is that it cooks it so much that it becomes firm and it kills the flavor of the fish, especially when you got a really good fish, really fresh fish. You know, every fish has its own particular flavor to it. So if you're gonna kill it with too much lime, I mean, it'd be really too bad for that fish, especially if you have a really quality fish, fresh fish, and so on. So you can either put the coconut milk in a bowl, press the lime in there, which is what I'm gonna do. Okay, so I'm gonna do about 2 limes into a bowl like this. Like I said, this is just my own kind of technique that I've learned with my grandparents growing up. This is how they like to kind of do it. Okay, and then shake the coconut milk really nice. Now I like to kind of just put the coconut milk in the lime like this. But you can just press the lime directly on the Poisson Cru as well, and then pour the coconut milk on top. And then you just kind of mix it a little bit like this, so it really incorporates it. So like I said, we're going for the flavor profile of acidity. And then from there, are you guys ready for this?
Wow, oh, that was gorgeous.
Look at that. Beautiful colors coming together. My coconut milk is coating every piece of fish. The grapefruit as well. There we go. With some chunks of that grapefruit right there. Look at that. Have the green onion. So you can use green onion, you can use cilantro if you want. I know a lot of people like cilantro as well, but usually green onion is what we like to use. And just cut in some nice little cubes like this, or cubes, I mean little pieces. Then you just kind of sprinkle some of that on top. And then we're gonna take a little bit of our avocado right here. And then we're just gonna cut a couple slices. Boom. We'll just add that to the side like that. Or you could keep, do it in chunks. Put a little bit of salt. A little bit more of the green onions. And voila, a beautiful Poisson Cru, Moorea style, Tahiti style. And yeah, I can't wait to eat this. So, salamite, guys.
Heimata, that was like transporting. All of my senses are stimulated. I could almost taste the coconut milk and the lime, and I'm hungry. So just watching this unfold, and
yeah. I'm super happy to have done this with you guys. Thank you. And just to you know, for people to know, this is, as you can see, it's a really simple dish to make. I mean, it's not, you don't need to be an expert chef. You don't need to know a lot about cooking. All we did was cut up a few ingredients and put it in there. The key to this dish is fresh and quality products. That's really what it comes down to. And after that, it really does. The ingredients do all the work. I mean, the fresh ingredients is really the star of this dish. Not me. It's all the ingredients. You know, and that's the best part about it. They make me look good. And I hope through this video that people will really want to explore more and want to go and visit their local farmers and try to recreate this dish and feel like they're in paradise, you know, creative.
And you mentioned that your grandmother's influence on this dish for you. Would you say most Tahitians have a family connection to the dish, and what does that mean?
For sure. I think it all starts at grandma and grandpa's house. If not, maybe your mom or an auntie. But for me, it was really about my grandma. And I think every child of the islands here learned their Poisson Cru from their elder, like you were saying, either grandma or your mom. So it's a recipe that's usually handed down, you know, from generations of how it's looked. I know for me, my grandma, as far as like a lot of people, like, so for example, as far as my grandma goes, I don't know what it was about her Poisson Cru, but for me, it was always the best. And I've watched her make it. I've tried to replicate, but I don't know. It's just something about grandma's cooking, grandma's touch that always made it better.
Yes.
But
Already trying to figure out if we're going to wash it down with a hinanu or a cocktail.
So coconut and Poisson Cru, get a little coconut meat. And we have some nice local rum made here on the island of Moorea. Agricultural rum that has won awards. It's in France. So what I like to do on a weekend, so I'll drink a little bit of this. Oh man, so good. I love starting my day with a fresh coconut. I mean, it just doesn't get any better. We'll take a little bit of this Moorea rum here.
Oh, wow.
Put that in there. That was a little too much, but it's okay. It's Friday. All right, we'll put it around. Man, now I feel like I'm on vacation.
So you talked about the combination. You talked about the ginger Asian influence, the fresh styles of cooking, and then the Tahitian fresh food.
So I feel like we're in a really unique situation here because of the outside influence, right? So like you were mentioning, the food culture of Tahiti and just the culture of Tahiti today, we have three cultures that are involved, right? So we have the native culture, which is Tahitian, and then we have the French influence, and then we also have the Chinese influence, right? And the Chinese were brought here in the late 1800s for the sugarcane and cotton plantation at the time. And then they ended up staying, and today it's like third and fourth generation Chinese, and they've really had a big influence on the food here as well. So having those three cultures fusioning has really made some very interesting flavors here in Tahiti. So the Poisson Cru we have, that's the regular version, that's the everyday version, but there's also a Chinese Poisson Cru, Chinese version, and that's more with like a vinegar pickled flavor profile. If you're in Tahiti, you got to try one of those as well. And then, with the French influence, like I was saying, a Poisson Cru was just lime, coconut milk, and fish. And then through the French influence, they've added the carrots. They looked at the dish, they're like, hey, we could really add some value to this by adding some colors, by adding some texture to it. And then that's how Poisson Cru has become what it's become today. It's through that melting pot of the three cultures that exist here in Tahiti. And that's just the Poisson Cru. And then we have many other items that you can discover on the food tour with me that I point out. And every item I pick, there's a story behind it, like how it got here, how it got created, and so on. And that's what food is really about. No matter where you are in the world, it's always telling a story, like who came through, who are the immigrants that came through, and how they influence the community through food and so on. And I really find that really special.
And hey, Mata, can you share with us your culinary journey?
Yeah. So it's been a long one and interesting for me. I've always loved food since I was a little kid. I think since I was I don't know, probably like 8 or 10 years old, just watching my mom, watching my grandparents, probably even younger, watching my grandparents making the traditional underground oven and preparations. It was such a family gathering, and I always really enjoyed that about food. And as a kid, it was probably some of the happiest, warmest moments of my life. Having all my grandmas and aunties and uncles, everybody had their own on Sundays, right? Sunday here is the underground oven preparation. So we'll do it on Saturday for Sunday, and just to have all the little cousins and everyone participating. And then from there, watching my mom cook really inspired me. I think the first dish I made was a ramen, those blue pack ramen noodles, instant ramen with and then an egg. I remember making my first scrambled eggs. I thought I was a pretty badass chef back then. Which has nothing to do, but then after that, I was always very passionate about it. It took me a long time to finally find my journey to food because of other reasons, school, went to college, ended up working in the family business and so on, and I never really had that much support to push me to follow this passion, to follow this dream, until about 6 years ago. 6 years ago, I finally decided, like, man, you only have one life. If you don't follow your dreams or pursue your passion, or at least try, I think that's the most, you gotta at least try. And for me, I finally, at 38 years old, I finally decided, like, it's now or never. If I don't do it now, I'll probably never do it, and I'll probably regret it the rest of my life. And I didn't want to have that on my conscience. So finally, I decided to quit my job at the family business, which was Tahitian pearls at the time. And I quit my job. I put my house up for rent, and I moved to Hawaii. And I literally showed up at the kitchen. We'll give you 3 days. You either got what it takes, or you don't. And then if you do, we'll keep you. If you don't, then good luck. And I seized that opportunity. I ended up working for that chef in Hawaii for 4 years. I ended up going to culinary school in Hawaii, KCC, Culinary Institute of the Pacific. And I learned so much. It's been the most amazing adventure, and there isn't a day that goes by that I don't regret my dream for food, because it's led me to you guys, for instance, to be talking about food, making Poisson Cru, doing food tours here in Tahiti, and really sharing my passion for food, especially Tahitian food, Tahitian artisan food. And I feel like in Tahiti today, it's probably the most exciting time for food. I mean, there's so many great things happening. There's so many new chefs coming up, local chefs that are creating some dishes I've never seen before, that nobody's ever seen before. And it's almost like when you eat it, you're kind of unsure, because it's such a new flavor profile. And I always tell people, this is where we're finally creating, as a country, as far as food goes, we're finally creating our own culinary identity today. It's not a French identity, or it's not a Chinese identity. It's really like the melting pot of Tahiti, with all these three cultures that are just, creating this artisan cuisine of ours today. And
Awesome.
That's why when you visit Tahiti, you gotta go seek out these places and eat. And it's only gonna get better. That's the best part about this. We're just getting started.
Sounds like it's an exciting time to be in Tahiti and Moorea and to explore all these different great restaurants and culinary experiences.
For sure, absolutely. I mean, like I'm still discovering places. I'm always looking like who's the next person that's pushing the envelope. Who's the next person that's creating, and every week I'm discovering, meeting new cooks, new chefs. That whether it's catering, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's a little cafe, whether it's all these things. But yeah, I mean, every week I'm pleasantly surprised of how many great creations there is happening right now in the food industry here.
And I'm glad you mentioned artisan food, because we sort of briefly touched upon fusion versus artisan food, and artisan food really implies, right, coming from the earth up versus, like becoming a melting pot and fusing together. So what are you most excited about in Tahiti right now in terms of young chefs coming up, dishes? I know you touched on a little bit of that, but the artisan food movements.
Yeah. So I never, my whole cooking career, I've always talked about fusion cuisine. For me, it was like taking all these three cultures plus traditional, fusioning with modern and everything, until I finally went to, like I was telling you guys last time when we talked about, when the chef was like, no, Heimata, it's not fusion cuisine. This is artisan cuisine. And it kind of took me a second to kind of like process it, and then finally I was like, you know what, he's so right. It is artisan cuisine. We're using local products and the knowledge we have and the culture we have here to create this artisan cuisine, and it's absolutely correct. So I learned something from him that day, and it's definitely given me a different perspective for our food here moving on forward.
I appreciate about you is that you spend the time to focus on all of the foods that's available in Tahiti. And a lot of people just land and can't wait to go to a different island, but there's a lot of good food to be enjoyed.
For sure, I mean, it's too bad that, I mean, I get it why, you land in the capital, the first thing you want to do is just leave and go to another place. But if you're a foodie and you love food, you appreciate good food, I really feel if you go to when you land in Tahiti, take an extra night, I would say, just to go and eat the different foods and discover the different foods. Rent a car, drive to the famous surf spot, Teahupo. And on the way from Papeete to Teahupo, there's some amazing places to stop at, and the little mom and pop stands on the side of the road that offer some delicious little bites and eats and recipes. And then in the restaurant scene in Papeete, it's really happening right now. And I'm always happy to recommend people to those places, what places to seek out. And even the food trucks. I mean, we have, we're really famous, what we call the roulotte. Every island is starting to have more and more of these. It's kind of like coming back. And the food truck scene is such a cultural experience, in my opinion. And that's definitely something to go and discover as well. So, if you can, take an extra night or an extra day in Papeete and go visit the marketplace, seek out those good restaurants, with the artisan cuisine, seek out the food trucks, and the little mom and pop hole in the wall places. There's some great places.
Heimata, I think I'll even throw in a better recommendation. They can go home base themselves in Moorea and then take the ferry over, enjoy it for a day, come back, because it's only a 25-minute ferry ride across, and enjoy it for the day, come back, and then do it a few times while they enjoy the amazing bay view.
Absolutely. I think that's a great point you bring up. If you are on Moorea, it's that easy just to take the ferry over in the morning. There's like an 8 a.m. ferry. Go over to Papeete. The ferry drops you out right in downtown Papeete. And then you just walk. You could spend half a day and you come back on like the 12:30 ferry back to Moorea. So yeah, go there, do a culinary adventure, visit the city. and then come back. And I'd be happy to take you if you want to come on Moorea Food Adventures.
We're going to send people your way. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Heimata. You've illustrated and reminded us of the true Tahitian spirit. Is so warm. It's so giving. It's so about sharing the culture, the customs, the identity. And I just feel like we all got a little taste of Moorea today, and we can't wait to go back and experience more.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And thank you for saying that and for sharing. And yeah, we look forward to having everyone come visit us and to come and share our culture with you. So,
remind us again, how do you say the cheers? Because that's very important.
Manuya.
Manuya, tuya. Thank you so much, Heimata. This was such a gift to be able to spend some time with you and opening your heart, opening your home to show us the islands of Tahiti, specifically Moorea, and cooking locally. You were really reminded us of the true Tahitian hospitality, that manna that you feel in the islands of Tahiti. You really shared it with us through your local culture and cuisine. So thank you. I can't wait to go back. Who's ready to go to Tahiti?
Well, maruru to you guys. We're looking forward to having you.
Maruru roa. Maruru roa. I hope you enjoyed that Tahiti episode. It sure made me want to go back a little bit more. Even if you've been to Tahiti, the mana of the islands awaits you, and there's many more islands, hotels, experiences ready for you. So like our channel, subscribe, share, and be sure to ring the bell so you'll get more content when it comes ready. Maruru.